Welcome to the 2022 Cycle World Open Class Adventure Bike Shootout. This year we have 3 bikes that we're pitting against each other. Last year's winner, the Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250, and 2 remodeled bikes, the KTM 1290 Super Adventure and the Triumph Tiger 1200 GT Pro. Last year, the Harley-Davidson 1250 defeated the BMW 1250 GS and also the Ducati Multistrada V4. The Harley won largely based on its superior suspension in that shootout, but it was also a brand new bike that year that came in with a lot of features that really shook up the industry and changed people's mind about Harley-Davidson. We brought these bikes to southern Utah, where we rode about 1,000 miles over the course of 3 days on every type of road, from fast-flowing roads near Bryce Canyon to dirt roads near Escalante, some rougher 2-track, some really fast-flowing fun dirt roads to kind of get to the bottom of what these bikes were good at. All 3 bikes came on their stock street tires, so we were a little bit limited on the dirt, but that's what these bikes are about. So we're really focusing on which of these bikes overall is the best bike. So let's take a look at these 3 bikes. We're going to show you the pluses and minuses of each model and come out of it with the winner.
For this year's test, we received a Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 Special GI Enthusiast Collection model with its exclusive mineral green denim deluxe paint and graphics commemorating Harley-Davidson customers who've served in the armed forces. Our Harley came with the optional spoked wheels and adaptive ride height option, bringing the price to $22,623. The Pan America's Revolution Max engine is a 1252cc 60-degree twin with double overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder. On the Cycle World dyno, it made 127.6 horsepower and 78.3 pound-feet of peak torque at 4,500 RPM. That low-end torque helped the Harley record the best roll-on times of the trio, while also producing a respectable 11.43 119-mile-per-hour quarter mile. Out on the paved and gravel roads that we spent the bulk of our time on, the Pan America was well-rounded, with excellent fuel injection, the least engine vibration of the group, and really good snap out of the corners. We didn't have a ton of complaints about the Pan America, but the amount of heat that the Harley pumps onto the rider's right leg while riding can at times be very uncomfortable. Almost every tester complained about it at some point or another. But overall, the engine gets high marks for its performance, on and off-road. The Pan America's ride modes help the rider find the ideal power output for every condition. Modes include Sport, Road, Rain, Off-Road, Off-Road Plus, and then 3 additional modes that are customizable by the rider. When on the road, we settled on a custom mode that had full power and a softer suspension setting, which seemed to be the best compromise that everybody liked. Off-Road or Off-Road Plus were usually perfect for the gravel roads that we spent most of our time on. Our group felt the Harley electronics interface and menu navigation was very intuitive, and the large 6.8-inch TFT screen provides all the info you could ever want. Changing modes on the fly was very easy, and the Pan America is the only bike with a big TC button to switch it off when you transition from pavement to dirt. Harley comes equipped with Showa semi-active suspension front and rear, but additionally has the adaptive ride height feature, which lowers the rear about 2 inches when you come to a stop to allow better footing. Overall, we really like the Pan America suspension on road and off. Our softer street settings made the bike really good on the twisty pavement and just a bit more forgiving over harsh bumps. On the dirt, the Pan America was really good in almost all situations, but as the heaviest bike in the group, big G-outs definitely bottomed out the suspension on occasion. Everyone gave the Harley high marks for seat comfort and ride position. Our only complaint is that the windscreen's adjuster isn't quite as easy to use as the other 2 bikes. But overall, the Pan America is a bike you can spend long hours in the seat on and be totally comfortable. KTM's 1290 Super Adventure S is the least expensive bike as option. The only real option our bike came with was the Tech Pack, bringing the tested price to $20,469. As this test is weighted more towards the asphalt, we selected the Super Adventure S as opposed to the more off-road oriented R model. There is no question that the KTM is up for any fight when it comes to engine performance. On the Cycle World dyno, the Super Adventure made the most horsepower at 134 and also the most torque with 87.5 pound-feet at 6,800 RPM. That kind of power easily propelled the KTM to the quickest quarter-mile time of the group at 11.2 seconds at 126 miles per hour. On the road, the KTM is like a giant sport bike. Despite the other bike's best efforts and the Harley's slightly better roll-on performance, the Super Adventure would simply come steaming by on the long straightaways. During performance testing with Doug Tolan, the KTM didn't hit its limiter until 155 miles per hour. Remember, this is an ADV bike. On the dirt, the KTM really needs a bit of traction control from time to time. Some of the roads we were on were covered with marble-sized gravel, making traction very tricky, especially with the KTM's more road-oriented Mitas tires. But overall, the KTM has more power than you could ever want for ADV riding. The Super Adventure comes with 4 standard modes: Sport, Street, Rain, and Off-Road. Then the optional Rally pack that we have also added a Rally mode, which is customizable. Also included in the Rally pack is the Quick Shifter Plus, Suspension Pro, Motor Slip Regulation, Hill Hold Control, and the Adaptive Brake Light. Of all the bikes, KTM has done the best job with menu navigation logic. Scrolling through menus is very intuitive and making selections very logical. On the road, changing modes is quite easy. But if you want to switch off TC completely, you'll have to set up a custom mode or scroll through the menus and change it in that option in one of the presets. But this is all quite easy. The Super Adventure comes with semi-active suspension, but it is from KTM's house brand WP. It automatically adjusts the rear ride height based on the load, but that can also be manually adjusted on the dash. On the road, Toland and I liked adding a bit of preload to get the bike up on its nose, and when combined with the sport setting, made the bike quite good on the asphalt. Off-road, the KTM suspension was also very good. We wish we could have exploited it a bit more, as the tires at times let it down. The KTM has a really good riding position, but the seat is definitely the firmest of this group. With the adjustable ride height and adjustable seat, finding the right position should be quite easy for anyone. The bubble behind the windscreen offers great wind protection and is very good, and the KTM has the second best windscreen adjuster of the 3, with big dials on either side to crank it up or down. Sticking with the theme of this test, we selected the brand new Triumph Tiger 1200 GT Pro. This model is the middle option of the 3 more street-oriented Tigers offered for 2022. Our GT Pro comes pretty much loaded with options at $21,400. The only real additions that buyers could purchase are heated rider and passenger seats and the tire pressure monitoring system. Triumph's 1160cc inline triple has a T-plane crank, which delivers an uneven firing order with 180, 270, 180-degree intervals between combustion events. The Tiger's triple is all about smooth, seamless power. On the dyno, the GT produced 127.4 horsepower at 8,600 RPM and 83.4 pound-feet of peak torque at 6,800 RPM. At the drag strip, the GT recorded the second best quarter-mile time with an 11.32 second 124 mile-per-hour pass. On the road, the Triumph makes its power in a sneaky way. It never has a big hit or feels peaky, but no matter the RPM or what gear you're in, the Triumph pulls cleanly with ample torque everywhere. The flat torque curve also pays off big time off the highway. On gravel roads, the engine provides very smooth and easy to manage power, allowing you to turn off the TC and simply dial in the amount you want the rear end to step out with your wrist. Like the KTM, the Tiger comes with a standard up and down quick shifter. However, on our first day, it was out of adjustment and giving us a hard time. After making some adjustments to the shift lever, we were able to get it working properly, but its timing was never quite as crisp as the unit on the KTM. If there is one area that we feel could be improved on the Triumph, it's the mode logic and navigating through all the layers of menus. Of the 3 bikes, the Triumph's dash and screens were the least intuitive. One of the issues that we had out on the road was that when transitioning between asphalt and dirt, you would have to come to a complete stop to change into an off-road mode or to turn off the TC. The mistake that was made occasionally was that after selecting the desired mode, you would have to confirm it. If you don't do this correctly, it defaults back to the road mode, which has very aggressive traction control intervention. When you get it right, the modes do their job quite well. But with the Tiger's super smooth power delivery, we normally turn TC off completely. The Tiger GT Pro also comes with Showa's semi-active suspension and proved to be one of the best compromises for the gravel roads. The suspension was very forgiving over rough sections, feeling borderline plush. On road, the Triumph also felt very good. The chassis offered a lot of stability and really good ride quality. Our only complaint about the suspension on-road would be that the front end would dive a bit more than we liked under hard braking. But as we expected, the Tiger is an excellent choice when you want to ride fast on a twisty road. The Triumph's standard Metzler tires weren't quite as good as the Michelin's on the Harley, but they provided good grip off-road and were also very good on the asphalt, a good compromise for the type of riding that we were doing. Like the other two bikes, the Triumph has an adjustable seat, and it split the difference between the two others in terms of comfort. When it came to wind protection, we all love the Triumph's very simple to adjust windshield. Just reach up and grab the windscreen's handle and then push it back down to lower it. Very simple. Overall, the Triumph offers a ton of comfort for all-day riding with great overall ergonomics. Only after days of riding, hours of performance testing, dyno runs, weights and measurements, and lots of lunch and dinner conversations did we finally come up with our decision. The Harley-Davidson came in as the winner of last year's Comparo, but it didn't have to deal with the brand new KTM and Triumph at that point. Overall, we're still very impressed with the Pan America. It's an ADV bike that anyone in the market has to seriously consider. It has a really good engine, excellent electronics, and excellent suspension that can do it all. Our biggest complaints were that its extra weight reared its head on occasion, and the engine's heat was quite annoying at times in the summer heat. Triumph's brand new Tiger targeted the BMW R1250 GS as its performance benchmark, which makes perfect sense. This is by far the best open-class Tiger Triumph has ever produced. On the dirt, the GT Pro, which is the more street-oriented model, is still miles beyond the old Tiger. We never had any doubt that the Tiger would be really good on the road, and it lived up to that expectation. The Tiger is very well balanced and the engine is so flexible and always has power. Our biggest complaints about the Tiger was navigating the menus and locking in those modes. All things that users will get used to, but the competition this year is stiff and we slotted the Triumph into second place. That leaves us with the KTM. When we took into account the fact that this comparison is weighted more towards the asphalt, but also had to make sure that these three bikes were very competent off-road, the bike that every single tester put at the top of their list was the KTM. The most potent engine of the group is easily the KTM. On the road, the Super Adventure S absolutely rips. It's like a sport bike in ADV clothing. Pulling deep into triple-digit speeds when the other two throw in the towel is what it does. The combination of the KTM's electronics, its suspension and chassis, make this bike capable of going almost anywhere you can think of, and very quickly. We also love the KTM's rider interface and menus, which overall were the most intuitive of the trio. When the dust settled, there wasn't a single one of us that didn't vote the KTM as our bike of choice. The KTM wasn't perfect, the single biggest thing letting it down were the tires, but that's something that any owner can quickly switch out. If it wasn't for that fact, the margin of victory might have been even larger. Overall, the KTM 1290 Super Adventure S impressed all of us and is the winner of our 2022 Open Class Adventure Showdown.